Welcome back, everybody. It is Family Time 200, talking about social awareness, and we're discussing how to read the room. You probably heard that term before, read the room, which is really to say how to read other people a little bit. And I think this is a skill that we are losing some as a society. And I don't just mean your generation, I mean society in general, because so much more of our communication and interaction is digital. And I'm not demonizing that, but we do lose something when we're not practicing these face to face interactions quite so much. And a lot of our digital communication, it doesn't have the same nuance where you get to read people and pick up on cues about how they're feeling, maybe what they're thinking. Even if, man, how many times have we gotten like a message or something, and because it's in text, you're not really sure what the person means, you're not really sure how they're saying it, what the intended meaning is. You get a lot more of that when you interact with people face to face. And it's so important for our relationships, right? Where, especially if you have a close friend, a romantic relationship, you start to get a feel for, oh, and this person does this thing, they're kind of doing this or whatever. Like my wife will get kind of like quiet sometimes. She's thinking about stuff. So I gotta be like, hey, like, what are you thinking about? And sometimes, like she's just worried about something, or she's thinking about all the stuff we got to get done for the kids, whatever. But like, I can tell something's going on if she's being quieter than usual, and she'll do the same with me. Like, I tend to be kind of like, whatever, kind of bouncing off the walls and excited about stuff. So then if I'm not, then she's like, all right, hey, what's going on? Like, what are you thinking about? That's an important thing to have. That's such a great thing to have in any relationship, any friendship, where you can kind of pick up what the other person's feeling a little bit, and then you can respond. You can validate how they're feeling, kind of recognize the other person's feelings, and then do whatever to help address them, or even just listen. That's a really important skill. And it's an important skill even in situations where it's like not our one-on-one relationships. I've mentioned it before, but it's like situational awareness. Talked about my youngest brother, who's a wildland firefighter. The guys on their crew would always say, keep your SA up, keep your situational awareness up, which meant like, hey, we're going into the situation, it's potentially dangerous. Make sure you're paying attention to everything around you. And that's something we lose a lot when so much of our time is on our phones, our digital devices. We get this tunnel vision, right? Even just out in the world, you get your earbuds in, things like that. And these are all things that I enjoy too. So I'm not saying you need to eliminate those from your life, but you do need to find some time to still look around, take in everything else. And that's especially true with people around you. Sometimes we get lulled to sleep where we live too, but you go into other places where there's more people. I think situational awareness is so important to be like, okay, is this potentially dangerous? How do I make sure that I'm safe and the people around me are safe? And how are other people acting? I think of times when I've been like in a big city, like Chicago, New York. I like to ride public transportation, so on the subway in New York, or the elevated train in Chicago, even up in Minneapolis, like the metro line, things like that. And you're kind of bunched in this small space with people, and there'll be maybe some individuals, and not placing any judgment, but maybe somebody who appears to have some mental health issues, and they're kind of talking to themselves and kind of whatever. Like, that's something you got to pick up. And just be aware of like, okay, this person seems to be struggling with something. I need to make sure that I'm keeping my family safe if something happens, or even not something like that. Like, I've seen people, in cities where somebody's having an argument with somebody else, somebody's emotions get elevated, especially when you're crammed in places with people. Like, you got to be aware. You got to be aware of how other people are behaving, and that tells you a lot. Like, and if you're somewhere and your gut instinct is telling you like, hey, something's off here, something's not right, it's probably true. Okay, you have that gut instinct for a reason, so you got to listen to it. But if your total tunnel vision shut off from everything going on around you, that's pretty difficult. Um, yeah, and that goes with, look, we want to take care of each other. We want to support each other. So you got to be, even if it's somebody you're not really tight with, like in a classroom or whatever, like, hey, that person's been acting a little different. Like, say something to that person, or say something to an adult, a teacher, a coach, or whoever, and be like, hey, so and so's been acting a little differently. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but something's a little off. Well, it's good. Better to investigate it and it's nothing than something terrible happens. So that's the thing. Like, we have to practice. We're going to talk about a little bit. Like, how do you pick up on cues? What are some things that people do? It's their body language. It's how much or how little they're talking. It's, like just behaviors, like things that they normally do, what they normally eat or things like that. Like if you see changes, it's good to be aware of those things. So anyway, it's a good thing to practice. We're going to talk a little about that. That ties into empathy, which is kind of the focus of everything that we're doing. Until next time, much love.